start with an introduction of what our book's about, please. Well, we are thrilled to get this award. Don't need to keep you waiting because it's a long day with a lot of speakers, but Sterling North was a passionate, compassionate man. I know from his writings, although I never met him. And to receive an award that in his honor is just unspeakable, truly. And I have to say that Terri Farley, my partner in crime on this book, is really the energy behind it and the spirit. And we came together from very different backgrounds. I had been a photographer and working for National Geographic on a story on Mustangs, and I met her on that assignment. And we decided words and pictures could probably be more powerful than either one of us alone trying to carry a message about the issues facing Mustangs.
And I was a teacher. I don't think you ever, I'm a recovering teacher. And I had a wonderful time in the schools yesterday, and we have 2 more days in the schools. And I wanted this book to appeal to young readers, but also adults, because the American Mustang belongs to all of you in this room. And so when I got the chance to work with Melissa, I have to tell you, every time she would send me a picture, because she wouldn't let me see them as she was taking them, but every time she'd send me a picture, I'd get all teary because she packs so much of the Mustang story into these photographs. When I was looking at them yesterday we had 4 presentations looking at the same photographs, and I saw something different every time. So as we're talking, we're going to show you some amazing photographs.
Are we ready with the video? The light's great. Thanks.
Mustangs are nomads. Their homes change with the seasons.
A stallion trots to the tempo of silent drums, ears pricked forward, his nostrils flare. A war dance has begun. America's Mustangs are disappearing. Since 1971, over 300,000 Mustangs have been rounded up and removed from the West. The last wild horse may have already been born. America's remaining Mustangs have defenders. Thelma Johnston took a stand. They called her Wild Horse Annie. In classrooms across the country, she told students about America's wild horses. She understood the power of young people. When they joined her fight, Thelma knew the horses had a chance.
So, as I said, this is me on assignment for National Geographic, and I got up close and personal with a few Mustangs, but mostly I was shooting with long lenses and hiding in the bushes a lot. But my love of horses goes way back. When I was 6 years old, I was one of those little girls that just dreamed about horses. I drew pictures of them. When I was older, I read all those Walter Farley books, the Black Mustang, the Black Stallion, the White Stallion, the Red Stallion meets the Black Stallion. And interesting that I would meet Terri Farley, who's not related, but in name, the same last name. But I finally was so obsessed that I wrote Roy Rogers a letter, and I asked him to send me Trigger, which I fully believed he would do. I was disappointed only to get an autographed picture, but my parents finally gave in and bought this little sad cow pony who I thought was beautiful. He had one eye, a donkey had kicked out the other, and he chewed tobacco and ate watermelon rinds. And he was very, very sweet, and his stomach almost dragged to the ground, and I thought he was wonderful.
I grew up in outside of Los Angeles, California, and I was asthmatic. I never had a horse of my own. However, I had lots of dream horses, and I started riding as a child to have adventures with horses. And this stallion is the one that brought us together. As an adult, I began riding the Phantom Stallion series and learned of a wild stallion, a wild white stallion, only 50 miles from my home in Nevada, who had been christened the Phantom by people long before my books came out, but I didn't know about him. And a story that is typical of what's happening to the West wild horses, he was rounded up when homes were built on his winter territory. And I helped to finance his move with a few of his band members to a 5,000-acre fenced sanctuary in Northern California.
And I read about this horse being saved in the newspaper because he had a 5,000 fan club. But I went to photograph him and met Terri then at a Mustang event, and we, at that point, decided to try to put our thoughts and words and pictures together. So we want to tell you a little bit about Mustangs. Mustangs are a mythic symbol of freedom, heroism, romance, and the limitless possibilities of the American West. But along with that, wild horses have a lot of complexities and the contradictions of American life.
In 1900, at least 2 million wild horses roamed the still largely unfenced American West. In 1971, they were declared endangered, and at that time they numbered 50,000. Today, we have no idea how many wild horses are left, but we believe it's closer to 30,000.
But Wild Heart is a celebration of the wild horse or the Mustang, and there are many bloodlines that go along with these herds, and they have come in all sorts of colors, and some have very ancient bloodlines, and some more modern mixtures.
Wild horses, according to modern science, evolved in North America. They may have died out at the end of the Third Ice Age. Some of the herds are descended from the horses that were brought back to North America by the Spanish conquistadors in the late 15th century. America's history was made on the back of the horse. We no longer need them for transportation, war machines, and they're not our beasts of burdens. The horse, the domestic horse, plays a different role in Americans' lives.
So mostly they're people's backyard pets. Horses are I think every 10-year-old girl's fantasy. But wild horses, when you see them in the West, are a prey species, and they've survived thousands and maybe millions of years relying on survival skills of fight and flight. In the wild, safety is with the band. So when I was photographing horses, often I saw horses that had the same coloration, obviously of the same family.
Even captive horses, and some domestic horses, maintain their primitive instincts. They test each other to establish a social hierarchy. And they have many rituals. I've observed wild horses off the coast of North Carolina and in Nevada. They all have the same rituals. Later today, we'll talk about how and when Mustangs fight for dominance.
So if you come to one of our sessions, we'll be going into more detail about Mustang behavior that we won't go into now.
Wild horses live on public lands. That land belongs to all Americans, everyone sitting here. Under federal law, the horses are protected to live there. However, in reality, they are losing their lands every day to livestock and resource extraction, oil and gas. So they are rounded up and removed from that land. As our land has become more fenced and developed and claimed by many, horses have gotten squeezed to the edges.
So this is a roundup where wild horses are stampeded out of the wilderness into a trap, and they go out with helicopters and drive them in. And the panicked horses are chased down a chute and into a corral. And at that point, they're trucked off, and nobody ever really sees them again. But later on, I'm going to show some slides about how I got this picture and some of the behind-the-scenes situations that go into making pictures like these. But once in the corral, they're separated from their families, and taxpayer dollars range nearly $40 million each year annually carried for these 30,000 Mustangs.
After the roundup, the horses do disappear. I've followed several horses, two of which I now own, but they don't live with me. They live in that same 5,000-acre sanctuary. But after the roundups, it's very hard to follow these horses. They disappear from public view. All are neutered, all the stallions, no matter what their future. And some are sent to publicly funded corrals for the rest of their lives. They're immediately separated: stallions, mares, babies. Only the nursing babies are left with their mothers. And some are sold to buyers who will legally sell them for their meat. A few are adopted.
And so that was kind of the hope that we put in our story, is that in our book is sort of a call to those people who care about horses to try to help in the adoption process, because many of them are trained. Even though this one's a little frisky, they can be trained to be saddle horses, and those who ride them say they're the most trustworthy, intelligent animals that you can have to ride. So in our book, we featured a lot of the teens who were working with orphan foals and people who lobby for their humane protection in Congress. This is a 13-year-old boy who goes to Washington and knocks on doors and gets in to see senators to try to get bills passed to support horses. There are more wild horses, however, living in captivity than running free.
All right, we're going to wind up now, but I want you to know that Sterling North, I reread for the first time as an adult when I heard about this award. And he has so much to say to today's children and to today's adults. In fact, I wish I could implant some sentences from Sterling North in some legislators' brains. He's a very unself-conscious author. He looks at the world around him, and that's what we've tried to do with our book. And I wanted to read just one small quote to you. This is Sterling is camping with his father and Rascal. And he's falling asleep. And if you've ever camped out, you will feel this all over again. The cool night went on without us, oblivious of the small intrusion of humanity, and the gentle serenade continued, a night heron's distant croak, the footfall of a fox, fish splashing in the pale moonlight. The universe went on spinning around us.
Thank you very